Art Schlichter, 1987. Art Schlichter should have been a franchise quarterback. The Baltimore Colts drafted him 4th overall in 1982, expecting him to lead their offense for a decade. Instead, he became the poster child for why the NFL takes gambling so seriously. Schlichter had a secret that would destroy his career before it ever really began. He was addicted to gambling. By 1983, just 1 year into his professional career, the league suspended him for betting on sports, not NFL games. But the suspension sent shockwaves through the league. Commissioner Pete Rozelle reinstated him in 1984, giving him a second chance to salvage his career. But Schlichter couldn't stop. He continued gambling, racking up debts, and making increasingly desperate bets. In 1987, after yet another gambling conviction, the NFL permanently banned him. No appeals, no reinstatement. Just a lifetime ban that stands to this day. Schlichter's story didn't end there. It got worse. He spent the next 3 decades in and out of prison for fraud schemes designed to fund his gambling addiction. His fall from 4th overall pick to convicted felon remains one of the most tragic cautionary tales in sports history. The NFL learned from Schlichter's case, and gambling violations have carried severe penalties ever since. Stanley Wilson, 1989. Stanley Wilson was living every football player's dream. His Cincinnati Bengals were heading to Super Bowl 23 to face the San Francisco 49ers. And Wilson was expected to be a key part of their game plan. The night before the biggest game of his life, Wilson made a decision that would end his career forever. The evening before Super Bowl 23, Wilson relapsed. He was found in a hotel bathroom, high on cocaine, just hours before kickoff. This wasn't his first violation. It was his 3rd strike under the NFL's substance abuse policy. The Bengals had to scramble to replace him in the lineup. They went on to lose the game 20-16, a heartbreaking defeat made even more painful by Wilson's absence. The league banned him for life immediately after the incident. Wilson never played another down of professional football. His Super Bowl ring opportunity vanished in a single night of poor judgment. The NFL's 3 strikes policy was unforgiving in that era, and Wilson became its most high-profile casualty. His story became a cautionary tale about addiction, and how even the brightest lights can be extinguished in an instant. If you're finding these stories as gripping as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started with these incredible NFL bans. Rae Carruth, 1999. Some NFL bans have nothing to do with what happens on the field. Rae Carruth was a first-round pick of the Carolina Panthers in 1997, a talented wide receiver with a promising future. But in November 1999, Carruth orchestrated a crime so heinous that his football career became an afterthought. Carruth hired hitmen to murder his pregnant girlfriend, Cherika Adams. The attack left Adams fatally wounded, but she survived long enough to call 911 and identify Carruth as the orchestrator. She died a month later, but doctors saved her baby, Chancellor Lee Adams, who was born with cerebral palsy due to oxygen deprivation during the attack. Carruth fled, hiding in the trunk of a car in Tennessee before being captured. The trial revealed that Carruth wanted to avoid paying child support and decided murder was his solution. In 2001, Carruth was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to 18 to 24 years in prison. The NFL indefinitely banned him, a formality since he was behind bars. He was released in 2018 after serving 19 years, but the league has never reinstated him, nor has he applied. Carruth's case remains one of the darkest chapters in NFL history, a reminder that some crimes transcend sports entirely. The child he tried to prevent from being born, Chancellor, was raised by his grandmother and lived until 2023, when he passed away at age 24. Michael Vick, 2007. In 2007, Michael Vick was one of the most electrifying players in football. The Atlanta Falcons quarterback had revolutionized the position with his speed and arm strength, becoming the face of the franchise. Then, federal investigators discovered what Vick was doing when he wasn't on the field running an illegal dogfighting operation. The details were gruesome. Vick and his associates operated Bad News Kennels on property Vick owned in Virginia. Dogs were fought to the death for entertainment and gambling. Those that didn't perform well were killed in brutal ways, hanged, drowned, electrocuted, and slammed to the ground. When the story broke, public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. Vick initially denied involvement, but the evidence was undeniable. In August 2007, he pleaded guilty to federal felony charges. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell suspended Vick indefinitely without pay. Vick served 21 months in federal prison, losing nearly 2 full seasons and tens of millions of dollars in salary and endorsements. But unlike most players on this list, Vick's story had a redemption arc. He was reinstated conditionally in 2009 and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. He worked to rehabilitate his image, speaking against animal cruelty and becoming an advocate for reform. Vick eventually returned to Pro Bowl form, though his legacy remains forever complicated by his crimes. His ban was one of the most publicized in NFL history, and his return remains controversial to this day. Justin Blackmon, 2013. Justin Blackmon was supposed to be a superstar. The Jacksonville Jaguars selected him 5th overall in the 2012 NFL Draft, expecting him to become their franchise receiver. He showed flashes of brilliance in his rookie season, catching 64 passes for 865 yards. But Blackmon's struggles with alcohol derailed everything. Before he ever played an NFL game, Blackmon had already been arrested twice for DUI. The Jaguars drafted him anyway, hoping he could overcome his demons. He couldn't. In 2013, the NFL suspended him for the first 4 games of the season for violating the substance abuse policy. He returned and played 4 more games before being suspended indefinitely after another violation. He hasn't played a snap in the NFL since. What makes Blackmon's case unique is that he's never formally applied for reinstatement. He remains on the Jaguars' reserve, suspended list more than a decade later, his career frozen in time. Reports suggest he's battled alcoholism privately, away from the spotlight. His talent was undeniable in just 20 career games. He caught 93 passes for 1,280 yards and 6 touchdowns. But the NFL couldn't save him from himself, and Blackmon became another cautionary tale about wasted potential. His indefinite ban stands as a reminder that sometimes the biggest opponent is internal. Aldon Smith, 2015. Aldon Smith was a defensive monster. The San Francisco 49ers linebacker recorded 33.5 sacks in his first 2 seasons, looking like the next great pass rusher in the NFL. But legal troubles and substance abuse issues derailed what should have been a Hall of Fame career. Between 2012 and 2015, Smith was arrested multiple times DUI charges, weapons charges, and a bomb threat incident at Los Angeles International Airport. The 49ers and later the Oakland Raiders tried to support him through rehab, but the incidents kept piling up. In November 2015, Commissioner Roger Goodell suspended Smith indefinitely for violations of the NFL's substance abuse and personal conduct policies. The suspension would last nearly 5 full years. Smith didn't play football from 2016 through 2019, missing 4 complete seasons in what should have been his prime. The Dallas Cowboys took a chance on him in 2020, and Goodell reinstated him. Smith played 16 games for Dallas, recording 5 sacks and showing he still had the ability. But more legal issues followed, and he bounced between teams before eventually being suspended again. His career became a cycle of talent, suspension, reinstatement, and more trouble. Smith's story shows how even elite ability can't overcome repeated personal failures. Before we continue with more shocking bans, take a second to like this video. If you're enjoying the content, it really helps the channel grow. Josh Gordon? No player has been suspended more times than Josh Gordon. The Cleveland Browns wide receiver had all the physical tools, size, speed, hands, and proved it by leading the NFL in receiving yards in 2013 despite missing 2 games. But Gordon's career became defined by suspensions rather than touchdowns. Gordon's first significant suspension came in 2014 when he was banned for the entire season for violating the substance abuse policy. He returned briefly in 2014 and 2015 but was suspended again for the entire 2015 and 2016 seasons. Just when it seemed he might be done, the Browns reinstated him in 2017. He played 5 games before being suspended again in 2018. The New England Patriots claimed him, and he had a productive stint before, you guessed it, another suspension. Gordon's cycle of reinstatement and suspension became a running storyline in the NFL. He was suspended indefinitely again in 2019 while with the Patriots, then reinstated in 2020 and signed with the Seattle Seahawks. He played sparingly before being suspended yet again. By most counts, Gordon has been suspended at least 5 separate times in his career, missing multiple full seasons. Despite this, teams kept giving him chances because his talent was that exceptional. Gordon's story is one of addiction, mental health struggles, and the NFL's evolving approach to substance abuse. His career could have been legendary. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about unfulfilled potential. Calvin Ridley, 2022. Calvin Ridley's suspension shocked the NFL world because of its severity and the relatively minor nature of his violation. The Atlanta Falcons wide receiver stepped away from football in 2021 to focus on his mental health, a decision that was widely supported. But during his time away from the team, Ridley made a decision that would cost him dearly. While in Florida, away from the Falcons, Ridley placed sports bets on NFL games using his mobile phone. The bets weren't large. He wagered about $1,500 total across multiple bets. He didn't bet on Falcons games, and he wasn't accused of influencing outcomes or insider information. But the NFL's gambling policy is absolute. Players cannot bet on NFL games under any circumstances. When the league discovered the bets, Commissioner Roger Goodell suspended Ridley for the entire 2022 season. The suspension was controversial. Ridley wasn't on the active roster when he placed the bets, and he argued he didn't think the rules applied to him while on the non-football illness list. The NFL disagreed. Ridley missed the entire 2022 season, costing him millions in salary. He was reinstated in 2023 and signed a lucrative contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he's returned to Pro Bowl form. Ridley's case highlighted how seriously the NFL takes gambling violations in the modern betting era, where sports gambling is now legal in many states, but strictly forbidden for players. Isaiah Rodgers, 2023. The wave of gambling suspensions continued in 2023 when the Indianapolis Colts' promising cornerback Isaiah Rodgers received an indefinite suspension for betting on NFL games. Rodgers, a former sixth-round pick who had worked his way into a starting role, violated the league's strict gambling policy during the 2022 season. The NFL's investigation revealed that Rodgers placed bets on NFL games while at the team facility, an especially egregious violation. He wasn't alone. Two other Colts players, Rashad Berry and Demetrius Taylor, were also suspended indefinitely for gambling violations. The Colts released all three players immediately, cutting ties with them the moment the suspensions were announced. The team wanted to send a clear message that gambling violations wouldn't be tolerated. Rodgers' suspension lasted through the 2023 season. He was reinstated in March 2024 and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, getting a second chance to resurrect his career. His case, along with several others in 2023, showed that the NFL's crackdown on gambling was real and immediate. The league has invested heavily in sports betting partnerships, making it crucial to maintain the integrity of the game. Rodgers got lucky. He was young enough to come back from a year-long suspension. His career is still salvageable, unlike some of the earlier names on this list. Josh Shaw, 2019. Josh Shaw's NFL career was already on life support when he ended it with a gambling violation. The Cardinals' defensive back had bounced around the league after going undrafted in 2015, never quite establishing himself as a starter. In 2019, while on injured reserve with Arizona, Shaw made a series of bets that would permanently end his career. Shaw bet on NFL games while he was sidelined with an injury. The investigation revealed he placed multiple bets, including some on games involving his own team, the Cardinals. This was a clear and severe violation of league policy. When Commissioner Roger Goodell announced the indefinite suspension in November 2019, the Cardinals immediately released Shaw from the roster. He has never applied for reinstatement and hasn't played a snap in the NFL since. What makes Shaw's case notable is the timing. It came just before the explosion of legal sports betting across the United States. The NFL was partnering with betting companies while simultaneously enforcing strict bans on players gambling. Shaw became an example of what would happen to players who violated the policy. His ban serves as a permanent warning. The NFL does not tolerate players betting on games, regardless of circumstances. Shaw's career ended with zero fanfare, a forgotten name on the list of banned players. Ray Rice, 2014, the de facto lifetime ban. Technically, Ray Rice was reinstated by the NFL. In reality, his career ended the moment that elevator video went public. The Baltimore Ravens running back was one of the league's best offensive weapons, a three-time Pro Bowler who had rushed for over 1,000 yards 4 times. Then, in February 2014, security footage emerged showing Rice dragging his unconscious fiancée out of an Atlantic City casino elevator. The initial video was bad enough, but the NFL gave Rice only a 2-game suspension, sparking outrage. Commissioner Roger Goodell faced intense criticism for the lenient punishment. Then, in September 2014, TMZ released the full video from inside the elevator, showing Rice punching his fiancée, knocking her unconscious. The graphic footage shocked the nation. The Ravens immediately terminated Rice's contract, and Goodell suspended him indefinitely. Rice appealed, and an arbitrator overturned the suspension, ruling that Goodell had punished Rice twice for the same offense. The NFL officially reinstated Rice in late 2014, clearing him to sign with any team. But no team ever signed him. Rice was only 27 years old, still in his prime, but he never played another down. NFL owners made an unspoken decision. Ray Rice would never play in the league again. His case led to major changes in the NFL's domestic violence policy, with much harsher penalties for first-time offenses. Rice's de facto lifetime ban remains one of the most significant career endings in NFL history, even though it came without an official permanent suspension. Thanks for sticking with me through these heavy stories. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it so you don't miss future videos. Martavis Bryant, 2018. Martavis Bryant looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers' next great deep threat. The 6'4" receiver had blazing speed and made spectacular catches, recording 26 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons. But substance abuse violations cost him nearly 5 years of his prime playing time. Bryant was first suspended for the entire 2016 season after violating the NFL's substance abuse policy for marijuana use. He returned in 2017 but struggled to regain his form. The Steelers traded him to the Oakland Raiders in 2018, hoping a change of scenery would help. Instead, Bryant was suspended indefinitely again before the 2018 season for another violation. The suspension would last nearly 5 full years. Bryant's case differed from many others because his violations were specifically for marijuana, a substance that became legal in many states during his suspension. He repeatedly applied for reinstatement, arguing that the policy was outdated and unfair. The NFL finally reinstated him in November 2023, more than 5 years after his last game. The Dallas Cowboys signed him to their practice squad, giving him a chance to resurrect his career at age 31. Bryant's marathon suspension highlighted the NFL's evolving stance on marijuana and raised questions about whether the league's policies matched society's changing attitudes. He never regained his previous form, and his career serves as a reminder that even temporary suspensions can become career-ending when they last long enough.